Captain Dave with Simple Plan Trucking. We're back again with another Get to Know Your Trainer video. And I'm here with a trainer at Prime, friend Thomas, and he also goes by Tennessee Flatbedder. He has a YouTube channel as well, a growing channel.
Oh yeah.
And so he's here today with us because he's going to tell us a little bit about his philosophy and why he became a trainer and what he hopes to give to it and what he gets out of it. So Thomas, welcome.
Well, nice to be here, man.
Glad to have you, glad to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from, what made you initially get into trucking, and then talk a little bit about your journey and into training?
Well, hence Tennessee Flatbedder. I go by Tennessee because I won't shut up about the state. I'm originally from Tennessee. Lived there most of my life, then moved out to Kansas, 17 years, and then moved here to Missouri to actually start trucking.
Okay.
So I actually live in the Springfield area, not too far from here, and my brother-in-law is what got me into trucking because he was already working for Prime when I came here. And then my year in, he went and got 4 trucks, and now he's on his own, but I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here going on 5 years. I've been training for 2 and some change. So
yeah, good. And you are a flatbed trucker, and you're the first person that we've interviewed that is a flatbedder. You know, here at Prime, there are 3 different divisions. You can drive reefer, which by far is the largest division. We also have flatbed, and we have tanker. And so, what made you choose to be a flatbed trucker?
Because I like to actually do the work. We justify by sitting behind that windshield constantly. And when I work loads, I'm out of that truck working that load. I don't justify just getting out and opening up 2 doors. Little hit on reefers there. I like working that load. I don't mind tarping. I don't mind tarping in the winter, tarping in the summer. It's got to be done. That's the whole point of.
Thank God there are people like you that don't mind and actually enjoy doing that, because I'm sitting here listening to him and I'm shaking my head and I'm thinking, what in the world are you doing? You know, I'm a reefer, and my wife and I drive together, and it's enough for me on these 110 days to get out and crank the landing gear down and up and open and close the doors. I know you and Daniel joke about that.
But he says them doors are heavy. It's just, okay.
Well, the elements are miserable sometimes in trucking, and now it's the heat of the summer, but you know, I almost would prefer the heat of the summer over those sub-zero temperatures getting out of the truck when it's freezing. But you know, everybody has their preferences.
Oh yeah, it's me. I would rather sweat my butt off than I'd rather freeze it off. But that's the good thing about what we do is if we get too cold, we can get back in the cab, warm back up, get out and finish the job. If we get too hot, jump in, cool off, drink some water, get back out there and get at it. Yeah,
so, and I joked, but it's almost like people that do flatbed are instinctively or naturally drawn to it. It's like, man, that's the kind of trucking that I want to do. And so, you know, we have people that come in and from day one, they choose that division. But at Prime, you can also switch at any time if you want to try something else. It's a pretty seamless process. You just get with your fleet manager and they'll make that switch over. And you may have to do some additional training for a different division, but you're able to branch out and do different things if you want to.
And it's a little tougher to go from reefer to flatbed versus flatbed to reefer, because we are a reefer dominant company. They want to keep you there, keep that truck rolling, that box. Yeah. But if you have a good reason why you want to come to flatbed, they usually tend to not fight you a whole lot on it. They're just going to tell you, hey, we would like not to, but if you really, really want to go to flatbed, make that decision. I usually tend to get my students come in, they want to go reefer, they go work maybe 1 or 2 loads on the truck with me, and they're like, yeah, I'm going flatbed. Because there's some of the times that they don't want to get that extra weight on them, or they need to get moving around, and that's the whole point. I
should do that. So, I should be a flatbedder.
And that's my main reason is we get out and work them loads. We're actually moving. There's ways you can do some exercise as a reefer driver. But I see my point of view on that is you're going to tend to be more lazy as the further along you get into it.
Amen.
And then as a flatbed, there's no reason to be lazy. We are always constantly making that truck work. So
right. Right. So let's move a little bit into your training philosophy now, and this is kind of the meat of what I want to talk about with you guys. What makes you different, say, be from Daniel or from Amanda? I know there are lots of similarities, but what is it that drives you, or what's your philosophy in training, really?
Well, my biggest philosophy is in life itself, is you're not learning something new every day, you're not living your life to the fullest.
Okay.
And I see me training give somebody else purpose for their life. It gives me purpose, being able to see you grow when you come in here not knowing how to do anything, and then see that day before your test, that aha moment in your face that I've got this, I can get that trailer in that box or in wherever you ask me to put it. That's what I enjoy.
Great.
I enjoy seeing it, and plus the money. And the money is good. I'm not going to say I'm lying if I don't say the money.
I think
it's just a perk.
It's a little disingenuous when people say that I'm going to go into training because I want to give back.
Right.
To me, that's great, and that's kind of like a secondary thing. But let's be honest, nobody would do it if they weren't making that extra money too. So, the money when you train can be very lucrative. It's very good. I remember a year or so ago when I was in training, you and I never really had a chance to work together, but I got to know you because you'd come over when I was working with Daniel and stand there, and we'd have conversations. And I know the two of you from time to time will switch off, or you'll ask him to work with one of your guys, or vice versa. Sometimes you might hit a wall for a short amount of time.
Because everybody learns differently, and I use that as a tool in my toolboxes to, okay, you're learning this way, but I haven't come across a person that learns that way yet, or can't understand the way I explain it. So I have Twisted come over, and he basically says almost the same exact thing I do, just words it a little different, and it clicks. And it's like, okay, now he tells me what he said, and I should have went down that road, but good thing you're there to help me make sure that we get our students. And then I do the same thing with his students when he's got somebody that's, I say just a little tweak in what he does, the sentence into that, and they're like, oh, okay, and then they're boom, right in that hole, no problem. So working with each other out here helps.
I think that's great. I think that shows respect for each other and a trust in that individual, that I'm going to give you my student for a while, and I know that you're going to be speaking the same language that I do. You kind of train the same way.
Yeah, me and Twisted both train the same way. There's different versions of everybody out here on this pad, and we just happen to have the same way we train. I just go right there. That's the best way to explain that part.
Great, fantastic. So is there any advice or any suggestions that you might offer to either people that may be considering coming in to drive, or those that are already planning to come to Prime?
I tell my students, when it comes down to it, you got to want this in your heart. You can't say, I've got to get this. If you got to get a job, McDonald's hiring. They're always hiring. If you come here and you want a truck, you got to have it in your heart. The next thing is we worry about today, not tomorrow. Get through the day and then worry about tomorrow. That's where I see a lot of people struggle, is they're so worried about test day. Well, we're sometimes 14 days out from test day. You got to be worried about today. Some people are worried about, I've already learned how to do that parallel, but I need to learn that alley dock, because they're so struggling on that parallel because they're worried about that alley dock.
Right.
We still got to worry about today. That's what I always tell my students. It's just, let's focus what we're doing now. Worry about that tomorrow.
There is a lot. There's a lot to absorb, a lot to take in. You have a lot to learn, and many skills that you have to learn. So don't become overwhelmed by worrying about something that's 2 weeks from now. Right? Yeah. Good point. Good point. So that's really all I have. Is there anything else you'd like to leave? Any thoughts you'd like to leave?
That's pretty good much.
Think they ought to come to Prime?
Yeah, that's a good company to work for.
Yeah.
A good family-oriented company. So,
do your research, but
definitely do your research. Find out what's going to work for you. I am biased, so I'm going to say Prime, but I didn't even do research. I just
lucked into it.
My wife, her brother was already here. I was like, all right, I'm going to Prime.
Okay,
but I've been wanting to be a trucker since I was a little kid.
Good deal.
So.
Okay, well, that's it. Now, is there any contact information you'd like to share if someone wants to reach out to you about flatbedding or possibly talk to you about being a trainer?
Just hit me up on my YouTube. That's Tennessee Flatbedder. And then I've got most of my contact information on there. And every Thursday night, me and Twisted do a Q&A live.
Great
about
learning
7
experience.
o'clock at night. Sometimes we start a little early. You might get luck out and be the first one on the board. We usually have guys fighting for first on that chat. So yeah, just come into that live. Any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask us. We have flatbed questions, we have reefer questions, trucking in general questions. So yeah, just come hit us up.
Fantastic.
So
Thomas, Tennessee Flatbedder, thank you so much for taking the time. Good to see you again, man.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be catching up with you again down the road. This is Captain Dave, Simple Plan Trucking. Y'all be careful out there, and we'll talk to you again soon.